We're at Park 4MX in Melbourne testing the new 2020 Suzuki RM-Z250. Now, a bike that is essentially unchanged from 2019 except for one very important factor. It has now got Wi-Fi tuning. Now, of course, if we look back, its big birthday was 2019 and this bike was totally changed from top to bottom. Frame completely different, lighter, slimmer and more rigid, gave a lot more rider feedback. The motor had some massive changes. First of all, twin injection, not many bikes out there have. A bit of a downward draft system for the air induction, which worked exceptionally well. And also a backward slanting motor. All of these things aimed at trying to up the horsepower on the yellow machine. And one of the biggest things going from 18 to 19 is we got rid of, turfed the air forks and put in a set of good, trusty KYB spring cartridge forks. And a couple of other things that were brand new for the 2019 Suzuki 250 was a much bigger front disc rotor going from 250 up to a very powerful 270mm. They also had an update to the S-Hack system, Suzuki's whole shot system that works exceptionally well. I was happy to put that into practice out there on the track and give it a bit of a try. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How did it perform out there on the track? Boydie prepared the track here at Park 4MX today so deep, and they had some rain this morning. So it's even deep and power sapping for a big 450. But I must say, I was quite impressed with this thing, particularly once the Suzuki tech, Daryl Fenn, come over. We had a little bit of a play with the Wi-Fi setup, and we managed to put in a nice aggressive map that everyone seems to be liking. It lifted the torque up through the bottom and mid, but super impressed with the top end over rev out here. And how deep the track was, just wanted to sap all the power out of the 250. So a nice improvement, even though the bike is essentially the same as the 19, I didn't get to test it with the Wi-Fi setup, and it really made a big difference. So very impressed with that. Now, being a fairly jumpy track here at Park 4MX, you want a bike that's nice and light and agile and easy to throw around. And the Suzuki is definitely that. For as long as I can remember, back into the mid to late 1990s, Suzuki's always had a reputation of being able to turn on a dime. I also found it loved railing the outside berm. So to be able to juggle and get the best of both worlds there is really quite important. Biggest thing that you do notice from the 19 and the 20 over the 18 is the forks. Pretty much need to throw those air forks in the bin from back then, and I think anyone that's stuck with them for too long, they kind of thought to themselves, well, hey, we need to go back to these spring cartridge forks, something that's going to be able to be consistent for a long period of time. These things work very well. You don't need to muck around too much with the clickers straight out of the crate. They do what they're supposed to out on the track. I was running right on about 40mm of static sag for me, which is where I always like to get my bikes when I'm testing them. And it felt nice under brakes, nice under acceleration, no complaints from me. The slightly larger disc rotor on the front definitely stops you a little bit quicker than the older one from a couple of years back, 250mm. It's just not going to cut it against some of the better brakes out there, particularly your Husqvarnas and KTMs that are like a Mack truck. And this bigger 270mm rotor works a lot better, and it's right there in the game now. Now, for me personally, if there's anything that I wanted to add or change about this bike, I think it would do really well with a nice exhaust system in it, just to free it up a bit, let it rev through a little bit nicer. But in stock trim, this bike is not too bad at all. A good gripper seat that's grippier than most straight off the showroom floor. The grips are actually not too bad compared to most, where it's almost like they pour a little bit of cement mixture into the rubber at the same time just to try to give you blisters. And of course they come standard with a good set of Renthal fat bars. Some nice good looking black rims, which seems to be the go these days. And you got yourself a nice good looking package. Whack your own personalised graphics on there. Suzuki put a nice number 11 on there for me today to keep me happy. Other than that, guys, your style in here, if you're a Suzuki fan, go get yourself one of these things, you'll be very happy.